Look around at the intricate tapestry of contemporary social life. We exist in a world of unprecedented connectivity, where our digital avatars boast hundreds, even thousands of friends. Our smartphones are perpetual conduits of chatter, with group messages vibrating incessantly with plans, memes, and the ephemeral noise of daily life. Calendars are populated, weekends are a curated sequence of events, and the public facade is one of vibrant, ceaseless engagement. Yet, beneath the shimmering surface of social abundance lies profound and unsettling silence, a quiet desperation that is the true hallmark of our age. The unspoken truth, the one we collectively acknowledge in fleeting moments of solitude but rarely give voice to in the public square, is that the vast majority of these connections are illusory. They are facades of friendship, constructed on flimsiest of foundations, a foundation of convenience, utility, and shared circumstance that crumbles at the first sign of genuine adversity. This is not a revelation that arrives with dramatic crash, but rather as a slow, dawning realization, a quiet erosion of faith in the people around us. One moment of personal crisis, one single disagreement that challenges the group's harmony, one instance where you are no longer an asset but a liability, and the vibrant social ecosystem you believed you were a part of evaporates. The messages stop, the invitations dry up, the people you considered pillars of your social world reveal themselves to be mere phantoms. This is the covert operational standard of modern relationships, a silent agreement of conditional association that is broken the moment the conditions are no longer met. However, there exists a contingent of individuals who have not merely stumbled upon this reality but have, with a quiet and observant clarity, diagnosed the entire system. These are not the archetypal recluses, burning with bitterness at the world that excluded them, nor are they the cynical misanthropes who despise humanity from a place of wounded pride. They are, in a sense, social realists. They observe the rules of the game, the performance, the transaction, the fleeting loyalty, and made a conscious, deliberate choice to decline participation. Often identified as a Sigma male, an archetype defined not by dominance or aggression, but by a quiet, self-contained independence. These individuals navigate the world from a place of profound self-sufficiency. A defining characteristic of this archetype is a conspicuously small circle of genuine friends. This is not a happenstance of personality, nor a failure of social skill. It is the direct, logical consequence of a series of sobering realizations about the nature of modern human connection. Once these principles are understood, they become a lens through which every interaction is filtered, and the landscape of social dynamics is forever altered. 1. The transactional abyss, when human connection becomes a quid pro quo. The anatomy of a modern interaction. To understand the Sigma's retreat, one must first conduct an autopsy on the corpse of the modern friendship. Cast your mind back over your last 10 significant conversations. Conduct this audit with unflinching honesty. How many of those interactions were initiated by the other party with the pure, unadulterated intention of simply ascertaining your state of being? How many calls were placed? How many messages were sent that were not prefaced by a hidden agenda, a favor to be asked, a piece of gossip to be disseminated, a problem of theirs that required your emotional labor, or an event they needed you to attend? The likely answer is dishearteningly few. We have engineered a social economy where human beings are valued not for their inherent worth, but for their functional utility. People manifest in our lives when they require a resource, a ride to the airport, a loan to tide them over, a strong back on moving day, an empathetic ear to absorb their distress. They are present, attentive, and seemingly invested. But this investment is a loan, not a gift. The critical test occurs when the tables are turned, when you are the one in need of support, when your energy is depleted, when you require a listener. Where does this seemingly robust network of support retreat to? It vanishes into the ether of prior commitments and sudden unavailability. This is not friendship in any classical sense. It is a commercial exchange masquerading as camaraderie. It is the business of social convenience, where relationships are portfolios of assets to be managed and leveraged. The Sigma's quiet diagnosis, pattern recognition over paranoia. The Sigma male does not arrive at this conclusion through a lens of cynicism, but through the rigorous application of observation. He is a social cartographer, silently mapping the ebbs and flows of relational energy. He rarely vocalizes his findings. To do so would be to invite accusations of paranoia or insecurity. Instead, he adjusts his own behavior accordingly. He notices the subtle, yet unmistakable, pattern. The frequency of invitations diminishes perceptibly after he has declined a few requests. He observes the alacrity with which people disengage from a conversation once their own need has been met, their own story told. He watches how his value in a group is directly correlated to what he can provide, be it his car, his money, his connections, or simply his capacity to validate others. This is not a delusion of persecution. It is cold, hard pattern recognition. The Sigma understand that most people are, often unconsciously, takers. This is not an indictment of their moral character, labeling them as evil or malicious. Rather, it is an acknowledgement of a pervasive, casual selfishness that has been baked into the culture. It is a self-centeredness so normalized that its practitioners are utterly oblivious to its operation. They are not plotting exploitation. They are simply following the path of least resistance, extracting value where it is freely given. The strategic withdrawal, the economics of emotional energy. For the Sigma male, the realization of this transactional reality necessitates a strategic withdrawal. He makes a conscious calculation of emotional economics, the energy he invests in social maintenance. The planning, the listening, the supporting is a finite and precious resource. To continue pouring this resource into vessels that are perforated by self-interest is not just futile. It is an act of self-sabotage. Therefore, he pulls back. He ceases to initiate contact with those who only reciprocate when it serves their immediate interests. He stops chasing the validation of those who see him as a utility. This is not an act of coldness, petulance, or misanthropy. It is the establishment of a boundary rooted in self-respect. The Sigma male operates on a simple, profound principle. It is infinitely preferable to possess 0 authentic friends than to be surrounded by a dozen counterfeit ones who view him as a resource to be depleted. In a world that conflates popularity with value, the Sigma chooses integrity over abundance. He would rather sit in the quiet truth of his own company than stand in the noisy lie of a transactional crowd. 2. The extinction of loyalty, navigating a world of perpetual options. The fraying social contract. There was a time, perhaps idealized in memory, when a person's word constituted a binding contract, when a plan once made was a fixed point in the future, respected by all parties, when showing up for someone was a non-negotiable tenet of relationship. That social contract has been systematically dismantled. In its place, we have erected a culture of perpetual optionality. People commit with a silent asterisk, a mental reservation that allows them to abandon the commitment should a more appealing opportunity present itself. They will RSVP yes to your gathering, but their attendance is contingent on the absence of a better offer. This behavior extends beyond social calendars into the very fabric of trust. Affectionate smiles can coexist with malicious gossip shared in private channels. A single disagreement, a misinterpreted text message, a moment of conflict, and years of shared history, memories, and mutual support can be instantly discarded as if they held no more weight than a disposable coffee cup. People become fungible to one another, interchangeable and disposable. The culture encourages this. With backup friends available on social media, backup plans just a swipe away, and an entire economy built on the next best thing, the incentive to invest deeply in any single relationship has evaporated. Why repair a fractured bond when you can simply replace a component? Why endure hardship with another when you can curate a hardship-free existence? Loyalty in this context is not a virtue. It is a liability, the anachronistic code of the Sigma. The Sigma male is an anachronism in this disloyal world. He is psychologically wired for a different era. When he gives his word, it is a reflection of his integrity. When he commits to a person, it is a deep internal pledge. He is the friend you call at 3 a.m. when your world is falling apart, and he will answer. He is the vault that will safeguard your most shameful secrets without judgment. He is the one who does not flee when your life becomes messy, complicated, or ugly. He brings an old world, steadfast loyalty to a marketplace that no longer trades in that currency. His loyalty is not a strategy to win favor. It is an extension of his identity, the cost of fidelity and the decision to withhold. Herein lies the central tragedy and the catalyst for the Sigma's isolation. To be a person of loyalty in a world that has abandoned the concept is to paint a target on your back. This unwavering fidelity is often mistaken for a limitless resource, a well that can never run dry. People take advantage, presuming upon it, exploiting it, and failing to reciprocate it. They assume the Sigma's loyalty will always be there, a constant in their inconstant lives, and therefore see no need to nurture or protect it. After experiencing the cycle of betrayal and abandonment enough times, after being the one who remained steadfast while others walked away at the first sign of inconvenience, the Sigma male makes a conscious and ultimately self-preserving decision. He ceases to offer his loyalty freely. He recognizes that for most people, loyalty is a performative concept, not a practice one. It is something they demand from others but are not prepared to give in return. The Sigma realizes that scattering the precious seeds of his loyalty onto the barren soil of most modern characters is a futile exercise. Therefore, he retreats into himself. He concludes that the profound peace of authentic solitude is a far superior state to corrosive anxiety of being loyal to people who would not and could not extend the same courtesy to him. He chooses the certainty of his own company over the fickleness of the crowd. 3. The metamorphosis of success. Friendship as a stepping stone. The unmasking of conditional allegiance. There exists a difficult, almost cynical truth about human nature that reveals itself most starkly in times of upward mobility. Observe an individual as they ascend the social or professional ladder. Watch them secure the coveted promotion, enter a relationship with a high-status partner, or experience a significant windfall of wealth. In a disturbingly high number of cases, a subtle or sometimes drastic metamorphosis occurs. The friends who formed their foundational support network, the ones who knew them when they had nothing, are suddenly perceived as inadequate, a lingering echo of a past they're eager to forget. They begin to upgrade their social circle with the same detached efficiency they might use to trade in an old car for a new model. Old friends become embarrassing artifacts, living reminders of provenance they wish to obscure. This behavior is ugly, it is painful to witness, and yet it is a recurring narrative in the modern social saga. People often exhibit a form of situational loyalty. They are steadfast companions until they level up. The shared struggle, the late-night conversations dreaming of a better future, the mutual support during periods of lack. All of this can be conveniently forgotten once the desired future arrives. The very people who provided encouragement and solidarity during the climb are often left behind at the base camp, watching the summit dwellers celebrate with a new, more appropriate set of companions. The Sigma as the abandoned architect. The Sigma male has frequently played the role of the abandoned architect. He has been the one who provided unwavering support, practical help, and emotional fortitude during someone else's arduous struggle. He invested his time, energy, and belief in them, only to be systematically phased out once their success was secured. He has listened to the earnest promises of, "I'll never change," only to watch the same person undergo a complete personality transplant the moment their social or financial status shifted. These are not theoretical abstractions of Sigma. They are lived experiences, data points collected in the laboratory of his social life. This pattern teaches a brutal but invaluable lesson. For majority of people, friendship is not unconditional. It is contingent on a state of parity. It thrives when both parties occupy a similar stratum of life, the same income bracket, the same relationship status, the same level of career success. This is a same level, cool dynamic. But the moment one person ascends to a different level, the dynamic fractures. The successful friend may feel the other cannot relate, or worse, that they are an anchor dragging them back down. The connection, once vibrant, suddenly doesn't fit anymore. The refusal to be a stepping stone. Armed with this understanding, the Sigma male refuses to participate in a system where human beings are used as rungs on a ladder. He himself is largely indifferent to status. His regard for a person is based on character, integrity, and intellectual or spiritual resonance, not on their job title or net worth. However, the knowledge that most people do not operate this way makes the entire endeavor of building deep connections feel inherently precarious and ultimately pointless. Why should he invest his soul in people who possess a hidden, internal expiration date, a clause that activates the moment their life circumstances improve? Why pour the foundation of a profound relationship with individuals who view all connections through a utilitarian lens as instruments for their own ascent? The Sigma recognizes that to do so is to willingly become a stepping stone, a temporary platform to be trodden upon and then left behind. The emotional ROI, return on investment, is catastrophically negative. Therefore, he opts out of the entire game. He makes the conscious choice to walk his path alone, in a state of self-possessed autonomy, rather than serve as a transient convenience for those whose friendship was never rooted in authenticity to begin with. It is a rational choice born of repeated observation, not an emotional one born of spite. For the tyranny of the superficial, the intellectual and emotional desert, the exhausting chore of small talk, engage in a typical social gathering, and you will be immersed in a sea of linguistic static. Conversations meander through the most well-trodden and barren territories. Commentaries on the weather, dissections of the latest celebrity scandal, gossip about acquaintances you barely know, and the ritualistic exchange of jokes and anecdotes that have long since lost any genuine humor. It is a theater of the superficial, where people recite rehearsed lines and laugh at predictable cues, all while carefully avoiding anything that resembles authentic, unscripted human expression. This relentless focus on the surface is not accidental. It is a defense mechanism. Delving into deeper waters requires vulnerability. It demands that individuals shed their curated personas and reveal something of their true selves, their fears, their doubts, their passions, their philosophical inquiries. It requires intellectual and emotional labor, the capacity to think critically about subjects that matter and feel things deeply. For a culture addicted to comfort and the path of least resistance, this is an unappealing prospect. Most people prefer the easy, the comfortable, the predictable. They seek social interactions that are pacifying, not challenging. The Sigma's cognitive claustrophobia. For the Sigma male, this endless cycle of superficiality is cognitively and spiritually suffocating. To remain trapped in a conversation about a reality TV show or the minutiae of office politics feels like a form of psychological torture, the intellectual equivalent of nails on a chalkboard. His mind does not naturally reside in these shallow streams. It is drawn to the deeper oceans of thought. This is not a conscious effort to be profound or to appear intellectually superior. It is simply the native terrain of his consciousness. He hungers for dialogues about meaningful struggles, about existential ideas, about raw and unfiltered human experiences. However, when he introduces his depth into a typical social setting, he is almost always met with discomfort. The energy of the room shifts. People become visibly uneasy. They will quickly change the subject, often deflecting with a joke to lighten the mood they perceive as having become too heavy. The Sigma learns, through repeated trial and error, that his natural mode of engagement creates social friction. His authenticity highlights the inauthenticity of the performance around him. His desire for substance underscores a prevailing preference for style, the choice of authentic solitude over inauthentic company. Consequently, the Sigma male stops trying to force depth where it is neither wanted nor welcomed. He makes a conscious choice. The peace of genuine solitude is infinitely more nourishing than the strain of pretending to be invested in conversations that are devoid of meaning for the 100th or 1000th time. This decision is not a symptom of social failure, but a triumph of self-awareness. He recognizes that the constant performance of interest in trivialities is a tax on his soul, a drain on his mental energy that yields no meaningful return. By withdrawing from the tyranny of the superficial, he conserves his intellectual and emotional resources for pursuits and, potentially, for the rare individuals who are also willing to venture beyond the shoreline. He chooses the rich, complex silence of his own mind over the cacophonous emptiness of collective small talk. 5. The perpetual performance, living in a world of human brands. The curated self and the death of vulnerability. The rise of social media has fundamentally altered the psyche of the modern individual, instilling a pathological need for performance. In the digital and now, by extension, the physical realm, everyone is an actor on a stage, constantly managing their personal brand. Every interaction is an opportunity to project an image of success, happiness, and interestingness. People engage in subtle name-dropping, craft elaborate humble brags, and embellish their stories to maximize their perceived social capital. In this environment, genuine vulnerability is a liability. Admitting failure, expressing doubt, or showcasing imperfection does not generate likes or followers. It undermines a carefully constructed narrative. People have ceased to be human beings and have instead become walking, talking public relations firms for their own personal brand. The toll of maintaining this constant performance is a pervasive, background hum of existential exhaustion. The Sigma's refusal to perform. The Sigma male is an anomaly in this theater of the self. He fundamentally rejects the premise of performance. He enters social spaces without a filter, without a script, and without a desire to impress. He presents himself as he is, in his unvarnished totality. This means he is capable of admitting when he is wrong, of discussing his failures without shame, and of expressing unpopular opinions without apology. His sense of self-worth is internally generated. It is not contingent on the validation of an audience. He does not need the applause of the crowd to feel whole. This authentic presence, however, creates a dissonance that is deeply unsettling to those who are fully invested in their own performances. When everyone is wearing a mask, the person who shows up with their real face is threatening. The Sigma's authenticity acts as a mirror, forcing others to confront their own inauthenticity. He is a living, breathing reminder that the performance is optional. This does not endear him to performers. It makes them uncomfortable and often resentful. They prefer the company of fellow actors, friends who will hype their social media posts, validate their curated narratives, and participate in the collective illusion. The ostracism of the authentic. The Sigma male, by virtue of his refusal to fake it, finds himself systematically ostracized. This is not because he lacks the capacity for friendship, but because he refuses to provide the specific currency that most modern friendships require: uncritical validation and active participation in the lie. He will not offer mindless applause. He will offer honesty. And in a world where most people are not seeking truth but affirmation, his honesty is perceived as a threat, not a gift. He ends up on the periphery, not as a castaway, but as a self-exiled sovereign of his own truth. He is pushed to the outside by a society that cannot tolerate the quiet, unwavering reality he represents. 6. The philosophy of silence, comfort in the void where others fear to tread. The modern panic in the face of quiet. Observe the palpable anxiety that grips a typical social, setting the moment a conversation lulls. The silence is treated as a vacuum that must be immediately filled at any cost. People rush to inject noise, a pointless observation, a forced joke, a comment on the decor, anything to escape the discomfort of the quiet. This panic is symptomatic of a deeper cultural malady, a profound fear of being present with oneself. Silence forces introspection. It creates a space where one must confront their own thoughts, feelings, and the underlying realities of their existence. The modern individual, however, is a master of distraction. They are armed with an arsenal of devices and stimuli: music, podcasts, streaming video, constant communication, all designed to ensure they are never alone with the contents of their own mind. The prospect of true, unmediated silence is terrifying because it means facing what they have been running from. The Sigma is sanctuary in stillness. In stark contrast, the Sigma male finds profound sanctuary in silence. He does not perceive it as an empty void to be feared, but as a fertile space for thought and restoration. He can sit with another person for extended periods without feeling compulsive need to verbalize. He can spend entire days, even weeks, in his own company without experiencing the gnawing anxiety of loneliness. This comfort stems from a foundational self-acceptance. He is at peace with who he is. His internal world is rich and engaging enough that he does not require constant external validation or stimulation to feel alive and whole. Silence, for him, is not emptiness. It is clarity. The great divide, alone versus lonely. This fundamental difference in perception of silence creates one of the widest chasms between the Sigma male and the mainstream. Most people conflate the state of being alone with the emotional experience of feeling lonely. For the Sigma, these are two entirely distinct concepts. Being alone is a conscious choice for peace, autonomy, and introspection. It is a positive state. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a painful sense of isolation and disconnection that can be felt most acutely in the middle of a crowded room full of fake friends. The Sigma understands that the quality of connection is what matters, not the quantity of noise. When most people encounter someone who does not share their terror of silence, they misinterpret it. They label the Sigma as standoffish, aloof, cold, or arrogant. They cannot fathom that his quietude is not a rejection of them, but a simple state of being. In a world that equates sociability with constant chatter, his comfort with silence marks him as an outlier. This perceptual gap inevitably creates distance. People are drawn to those who mirror their own need for noise, and they are unnerved by those who do not. Thus, the Sigma, comfortable in his stillness, remains solo, not out of an ability to connect, but because his preferred state of being is incompatible with the noise-dependent social economy. 7. The imbalance of energy, the unseen ledger of social exchange, the one-sided dynamic of modern friendships. Scrutinize the energetic flow within your own friendships with the dispassionate eye of an accountant. Who is a perpetual initiator? Who is the one consistently drafting the message to start a conversation, to propose a plan, to check in? In the vast majority of cases, the effort is radically imbalanced. One person, often a more invested or conscientious one, gives approximately 80% of the energy, while the other party, content to be a passive participant, contributes a mere 20%. This lopsided arrangement is somehow accepted as a functional friendship, when in reality, it is a subtle form of exploitation. It is an exhausting, draining endeavor for the person who is consistently carrying the relational load, while the recipient enjoys the benefits without the responsibility of reciprocity. The Sigma's internal accounting system. The Sigma male possesses a highly sensitive internal barometer for this energetic exchange. He is acutely aware of the balance, or more often, the lack thereof. He may initiate for a period, giving people the benefit of the doubt, but he is silently tracking the reciprocity. He notes who reaches out spontaneously, who follows up on his life, who makes an effort to plan something. When the data consistently shows a deficit, when he realizes he is the sole engine keeping the relationship moving, he executes a clean, decisive withdrawal. There is no dramatic confrontation, no emotional ultimatum. He simply ceases his input. He stops initiating. He pulls his energy back and observes the resulting vacuum. The ultimate test, the unspoken experiment. This withdrawal is, in essence, a silent and devastatingly accurate litmus test for authentic care. The Sigma male removes his 80% from the equation and waits to see if the other person will step forward to fill even a fraction of the space. The overwhelming majority of the time, the result is a resounding silence. Nothing happens. No one reaches out. No one notices the absence because they were never truly present in the first place. They were merely enjoying the benefits of his presence. They were consumers of his social energy, not partners in its creation. These individuals fail the test, often without ever knowing they were being examined. And for the Sigma, this failure is all the data he requires. It confirms his hypothesis. The relationship was not a mutual bond, but a form of unrequested charity. He was providing a service, the service of social initiation and maintenance, for which there was no payment. This realization liberates him from the obligation. He ceases to waste his precious life force on those who view it as an entitlement. He would rather conserve that energy for his own pursuits or for the exceptionally rare individual who demonstrates, through consistent action, that they are willing to meet him in the middle of the bridge, to contribute their 50%, to be a true partner in the dance of connection rather than a passive passenger. He understands that a one-sided friendship is not a friendship at all. It is a parasite-host relationship, and he refuses to be the host. Conclusion: the sovereign path, a conscious choice for authentic existence. The Sigma male's path is not one of loneliness, but of sovereignty. His small circle, or lack thereof, is not a testament to his inability to connect, but to his refusal to connect on terms that are demeaning to his spirit and exhausting to his soul. He has peered behind the curtain of modern sociality and seen the machinery of transaction, performance, and shallow convenience for what it is. His retreat is not a defeat. It is a strategic and philosophical victory. He has chosen quality over quantity, depth over breadth, and authenticity over approval. He walks alone not because he is unlovable, but because he loves himself enough to not settle for the counterfeit currency of fake friendships. In a world that screams for more friends, more followers, more noise, the Sigma male's quiet insistence on less but better is a radical act of rebellion. It is a life lived according to an internal compass, pointed unerringly toward truth, integrity, and a peace that can only be found when one stops playing a game they never agreed to in the first place. And in the profound silence of his own company, he has found a freedom that the perpetually connected crowd can scarcely imagine. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.